border with Poland. The EU accuses President Lukashenko of gangster-style tactics. Hello there, welcome to TRT World, live from London. I'm Shudi Ghosh. Also ahead on the programme, the United Nations calls on the Ethiopian government for the immediate release of 16 staff detained in the capital. 6 more allies of Donald Trump are subpoenaed as the investigation continues into the January 6th attack on the US Capitol. And the UN Relief Agency for Palestinian Refugees says it's on the brink of collapse due to lack of finance. The EU has accused the Belarusian president, Alexander Lukashenko, of using gangster tactics to create a surge of migrants. Thousands of people, including children, are trapped at the border with Poland after being pushed across by Belarusian authorities. They can't move forward or back and are now stuck in freezing conditions. Poland deployed extra troops after desperate crowds tried to cut through the border fence. Simon McGregor-Wood reports.
On Tuesday morning, the Polish Prime Minister headed to the border to thank some of the 17,000 soldiers and police deployed in the latest confrontation.
The Lukashenko regime uses civilians as a weapon in a modern hybrid war. What we see here is a new method. You are the essential bastion ready to defend us against these new methods.
Overnight, with temperatures dipping below freezing, hundreds of migrants camped out on the Belarusian side of the barbed wire border. At dawn, they were still there, just yards from the fence and closely monitored by Polish border guards. On Monday, some had tried to cut through the coils of wire. Poland accuses Belarusian soldiers of pushing the migrants towards the border. On Tuesday, this footage appears to show them very close. The diplomatic fallout is widening. Germany's Interior Ministry accused Belarus of exploiting the migrants to destabilize the West. NATO said it was ready to assist Poland maintain safety and security in the region. The US expressed its solidarity.
The United States strongly condemns the Lukashenko regime's political exploitation and coercion of vulnerable people and the regime's callous and inhumane facilitation of irregular migration flows across its borders.
But Belarus's principal ally, Russia, came to its defense on Tuesday and accused the West of creating the problem.
The root of the problem is the policy carried out by Western countries, including NATO and EU member states, regarding the Middle East and North Africa over years, as they were trying to impose a Western-style better life.
Migrants have been steadily arriving from Belarus from across the Middle East and Africa for the last year. The EU accuses Minsk of encouraging them in retaliation for sanctions imposed following the political crackdown and mass arrests following last year's disputed election.
Lukashenko regime starts to behave as a gangster regime because it's hurting them and they don't know what else to do, so they try to undermine the European Union by attacking and launching a hybrid attack against the member states of the European Union.
But this week's surge suggests an intentional escalation, and there are growing concerns this could lead to a military confrontation. Meanwhile, the migrants, pawns in what appears to be a cynical political drama, are caught in the middle, as they always are. Simon McGregor-Wood, TRT World.
Well, let's speak to Elena Korosteleva, a professor of international politics and a visiting professor at the University of Oxford. Good to have you with us. So we have a situation now where Poland has moved troops to its border. Lithuania has declared a state of emergency along its border. Just how serious is this situation?
Well, we just have a crisis, really, on the doorsteps of the EU. It is an unfolding crisis. It is a food. It's on the one hand, it's humanitarian crisis. We clearly see all these people left on Belarusian border in absolutely inhumane conditions. The weather, of course, is turning for the worst. And there are children, families, the elderly, and they're all left there unattended. And on the other hand, there is also a possibility, an increasing possibility of potentially a military conflict now with NATO getting increasingly involved, and there are rising concerns on the part of the EU.
Yes, so what can the EU do to stop this? This situation can't continue forever. Is there a consensus over what the next steps should be?
I'm afraid the EU is taking its time, because obviously it's a very complex machinery, complex institution. But at the same time, what is needed is, well, first of all, it's not just about sanctions or the fifth package of sanctions that the EU is currently kind of preparing, finalizing, because sanctions we know take time to affect the regime. What we need to see is, first of all, just take a humanitarian approach, in a sense of helping those people, perhaps even accepting refugees, building refugee camps, then processing them. And if indeed these people are in crisis, they could be accommodated by the EU or be potentially returned back to their home countries. But this is not happening at the moment. And that's where basically where further steps on the part of the EU and concerted joint effort is really necessary.
If Russia is involved, as Poland says it is, how much more complicated does that make the situation?
Well, judging by the tactics that Lukashenko regime is presently using, there is a clear signature of Russia's involvement at the back stages. That means that there is a serious provocation afoot, in a sense that what regime is presently deploying or trying to do is actually to destabilize the EU, to sow havoc and discord between the EU member states. We can see that there is Poland and Lithuania in particular, they're responding differently to the situation of crisis. And this way, it creates some form of discord between them. And what is most important is the EU should present a united front and clearly condemn Lukashenko regime. We can see that what is happening is the externalization of Lukashenko's regime's violence, and the EU is beginning to be affected. So we need far more concerted effort on the part both of the EU and the international community.
Elena, thank you very much indeed. Elena Korosteleva there.